Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We are here today with a movie reaction for All Quiet on the Western Front. Very rare, of course, as you know. I don't do a whole lot of movie reactions, but typically when there is something that I feel is a bit more obscure, and perhaps something that I feel people should be talking about, but not a whole lot of people are talking about, then that will pique my interest, and this most certainly falls into that category. And of course, it is also in German, which, as you know, I do my best to try to cover foreign content as much as possible on this channel because, again, obscure content in yeah, it fits. Okay, on the Western Front. Now, this is a movie about World War One. I'm not full disclosure. I'm not a historian. I don't claim to be, the all knowing or knowledgeable about this particular subject. I'm not a huge fan of World War movies. I typically avoid them. One of the things that, however, interested me about this particular story is that one, it is about World War One. There aren't a whole lot of films about World War One, and interestingly, I mean, yeah, the Americans are not involved. Yeah, a lot of war movies, especially those in the West, tend to feature America as this, as the hero of the story, and so you don't get a lot of films like that over in the West. It's a shame, and most definitely would not be in the native language, and that's one of the things that I think lends a level of authenticity to a lot of films, especially war films. And oftentimes, the dialogue and the modern language that they use just takes me out of it when watching those war movies. So I wanted to watch this one in particular because it was in German, and secondly because it told the story from a German perspective. Now, of course, there continues to be many debates today about what exactly contributed to the start of the First World War, and no one seems to have conclusively agreed on what that trigger may have been. It's several factors involved in it. Of course, this all stemmed from conflict between Austria and Siberia, Austria-Hungary at the time, and Siberia, and other world powers who, through alliances with these territories, got involved in the war itself. But I think at the end of the day, you realize it does come down to, as any war does, it comes down to ego and greed. It really does just comes down to those two things. When we speak about war, oftentimes you don't know the full measure of the cost until until much later, if at all, to be honest. Because how do you weigh the cost of lives? So you truly, at times, you don't really know what the full cost of that sacrifice really is. Many will agree, of course, that Germany was very aggressive in that conflict, and this was at the height of industrialization, and there was a lot of propaganda at the time to I guess put the country on the map, against other world powers, or have its place with other world powers on the map. And that narrative was just pushed to the public, and it just encouraged and emboldened those who were in power. And eventually, conflict began, and people, again, as I mentioned, ego was something that wasn't kept in check, and no one wanted to back down and appear to lose strength or lose face, and it cost millions of lives that can never be regained. So yeah, war should never be the immediate answer. Yes, of course, there are going to be instances where there are things that you do need to fight for, and you do have to draw a line. But in this case, it was unnecessary. And both sides could have done things to de-escalate, and of course there was an aggressor. Um, but it's important to understand where war is concerned. And again, as I mentioned, it's one of the reasons I wanted to watch this, because it's from the German perspective. It's important to remember that there are two sides with any war. One is the geopolitics of it all, and then there's the personal story for those men who are on the ground. And those two are often very separate. And one of the reasons why I wanted to check this out is because my understanding is that it tells a very personal story about a militant, an officer who was drafted into this war. And it's again, those people who are there risking their lives, oftentimes, the information that they receive is not complete. And again, as I mentioned before about propaganda and selling an enemy in the public size, and these young men often are led astray. And I think that is what happens majority of the times where war is concerned. And so the fact that this is telling us the story of this of a soldier, and not not the leaders of the country who made the decisions. And I imagine that they will touch on that a bit in the story. And my hope is that they won't gloss over Germany's involvement in the story, and how they were eager. I guess eager to find a place on the world stage by any means necessary, even if that meant going to war. They wanted to be seen as equals amongst the other world powers in Europe at the time. So, and that unfortunately led to a lot of people losing their lives. But the personal stories is in contrast to that, why these young men felt the need to go to war, and what horrors they saw when they got there. Because for this being the First World War, it was the first for a lot of these men and boys. Being in that particular situation, and seeing what war is like. Yes, we've had wars in the past, but not on this level. So that's the main reason I wanted to check this out, because it's a very personal story. It's showing from the German side, not just the geopolitics of it, but a personal story of someone who who was just sent to war for reasons that they didn't fully understand. And I'm certain that my understanding is that this is based on a novel, right, and a very acclaimed novel. So I do imagine it's not glossing over the fact that Germany was a huge part of this becoming the devastation that it was. But at the same time, being able to tell a story from an individual's perspective who is below all the geopolitics, and is just following the orders that they were given. So that intrigued me. And again, as I said, a German perspective in German language, and I found that very fascinating, since it's not something that is often done, and so I want to check it out. All right, so yes, without further ado, guys, All Quiet on the Western Front. Let's check it out. And burying the dead. Burying them, but I think is happening. Also, not wanting to waste the uniform. Yeah. They're going to reuse them, and this just shows the insanity of it all, and how little value these lives had to them. It's like, okay, yeah, you're gone. Can't allow this uniform to go to waste. Take it back, wash it, sterilize it, and I guess give it to the new recruits. That's a great way to open this. This just sets the tone for what you can expect, and just to communicate to the audience how futile this war was. Yeah, patch them up, cover up the bullet holes. Heinrich. That's our guy. Okay, we're at the third year of the war. Thought we were gonna be at the beginning, but I guess this makes a bit more sense.
Weiß er denn, dass wir
For
alle
a
gehen?
conclusion,
Ja,
at
wirklich.
least.
Bleibst du daheim? Mein Gott, sollst du deiner Mutti am Rockzipfel hängen. Gib her, ich unterschreib's.
Das müssen seine Eltern machen.
Wir haben's aber nicht. Also gib schon her.
Das geht nicht, das merken die doch.
Wie denn?
Oh, he needs his parents' permission to sign up. Yes, his friend is just gonna make up a signature, and I'm sure the army personnel won't care. And at the time, they made war appear so glamorous. You know, it's something that you wanted to be a part of to serve your country. And again, as I said, at times there are in certain scenarios where that is true and important, but this was not one of them.
Werden Sie einmal danach beurteilt werden, was Sie heute wagen zu werden. Deutschlands eiserne Jugend.
And this is at the school, right? So it's like, okay, can understand the media since romanticizing the war and so on, but they're in the schools telling these children. Yeah, so they're heading to France.
Liegt in den Händen seiner größten Generation. Meine Freunde, das sind Sie!
I mean, I want to say if I was in a position, I would be saying why, and I'd be asking a lot of questions, and I'd be objecting. But again, the time that they're in, you know, it's drastically different. Living situations were drastically different. Many of what we enjoy today are considered luxury back then. So, you know, you don't know what you would do at that time in that situation.
Das kommt immer wieder vor. Hier, Mart J.
Danke.
Just made up that ridiculous story. Henrik, yeah. Compared to the older movies, I know there was a movie about this before. I haven't seen it, but I know there is one. And this does have a tinge of cleanness to it compared to that movie from photos that I've seen and images. I don't think it's so far removed that it feels unbelievable. They didn't even teach them the bare minimum.
Sie werden sie lieben.
Except, I guess, just to point and shoot.
Jungfrau. Haben wir uns verstanden? Kommen in Reserve, Infanterieregiment 78.
I get the impression that all their smiles are about to change completely. That's gotta be horrible. Right? Yeah, you're hearing about all these horrible things, and then you have to walk past all these bodies, and you know you're going to be next. And I keep hammering this idea that, okay, you'll be fine in 6 weeks. You know, we'll see you back home in 6 weeks. Everything will be fine. I haven't said there's a possibility that, you know, you might not come back home. I guess.
Das, meine Herren, war ein fettes Schwein. Und geradeaus.
Oh, it's taking too long to put his on. He was helping his friend.
Sie, Paul Bäumer, werden bei Tagesanbruch fast
Anton
wieder tot
Hughes.
sein. Essen Sie mal was, Mensch.
The last meal. This is the famous trench. I'm not sure if it had a specific name, but I recall reading, and from what I've read, this was so absurd because during this entire war, they were essentially just fighting for a few inches of territory right here. That's it. All those people, that's what everyone died for. Ridiculous, man.
Geben Menschen Macht. Der Mensch ist ein Biest.
Who's this?
Kaczynski, herkommen, mit anpacken.
Kaczynski.
Heute Nacht ist Katyn.
It's like the first day of high school, except worse. Far, far worse. I don't know. I'm trying not to judge him harshly, but what were you expecting? I don't know how the idea of going marching to war to kill a person can sound appealing. I don't. Again, I'm not trying to judge them too harshly because they're boys. And slowly sinking in that they might not make it home. First night, they're firing flares. I'm guessing just to see if anyone's trying to sneak across the battlefield. Be careful.
Da ist nichts.
The score. Score is amazing so far. It's like you feel it building up to something. It's eager to shoot something. And to be honest, you see a lot of this kind of thinking in a lot of kids today. It's like, okay, yeah, that's the obsession with guns and so on. It's not so far gone. Alright. Kind of giving away your position though. Ah. Don't do that. Okay, he's fine. Otherwise, this would be a very short film. He fired a shot and I'm guessing he gave away his position there. Lucky. You are lucky.
Wir haben euer Mündungsfeuer gesehen.
Yeah, they'll do that.
Verlagern. Schießen, verlagern. Verstanden?
Yeah, it's gotta shoot and move, shoot and move. Yeah, we've seen that guy quite a bit now. Don't know if he's gonna be a key character. I mean, we know Paul is gonna survive. He's clearly the protagonist, but his friends aren't so sure. Oh. All right. You know, he said it would be worse tonight. He was right. It's a surprise attack. Are they just bombing everything? All right, they have a little bunker. Come on. You're scared, I get it. So they just clear the way for the infantry to come in. Where's he going?
Wo geht's denn hin? Ich bin gleich wieder da. Was soll's?
No, you won't. Yeah, he's lost it. God. It's like, oh yeah, this is collapsing. We didn't get buried in there. Ah. Alright, so Paul's fine. Did any of his friends make it? Minus the one that just got blown up. He definitely did not. Okay, a few of them are still here. Alright, he made it. Not a bad guy.
Kaczynski, weitermachen. Und Sie? Sind Sie verletzt?
Ja.
Dann einsammeln.
Gathering what? Just about survival at this point. You know, one of them is going to be a friend of his. All right, so okay. So those things are on their necks. I guess it's to keep count of the numbers that they're losing. I don't know if they're going to be getting those that are buried on the ground, but I guess a close estimate. Oh, his friend's glasses, isn't it? Yeah. Legs blown clean off. The eyes just peering at, just looking at him. No life in them, but they see so much. This is his first loss. And they just want you to keep going. You want to survive, Paul. You gotta keep it together. Oh, okay. 18 months later. Wow. Alright. I don't recall how many years the war went on for. I know we started in third year. Alright, so we're finally getting to, you know, the bureaucrats. And seeing things from that perspective.
Erzberger.
Ah, I know him. Damn, forgot the actor's name. Brilliant actor though.
Gott sei mit uns. Wieder mehr als 40.000 Tote allein.
He should be in more things. Really, really underrated actor. I've never seen something that he wasn't really exceptional in. I think there's this series on, I think it's on Netflix, but I think it's like a TNT series that he's the lead character in, called The Alienist. I'm not sure if it's still ongoing, but highly recommend you watch it if you haven't seen it. All right, we're in France now. 18 months later. I wonder what Paul is like at this point. Everything that he's seen, yeah. It's not the same face. Where are they going? Alright, so he and Kat have become close after these 18 months.
Was meinst du, Paul? Lohnt sich das dafür zu sterben?
Yeah, I know, again, from what little I've read, that of the millions that did in fact die, you know, they didn't all die as a result of the war. Meaning, it was a result of the war, but not, you know, by enemy combatants. A lot of it was illness and hunger, because apparently no one thought it was a good idea to feed the soldiers that you have on the front lines. Terrible stuff. No, a dog. That's not good. I mean, you're in French territory. This is a bit risky, isn't it? I mean, I'm sure the French army isn't stationed here, which is why... You're steal a goose. Oh. It's some moment of levity in it, at least, you know? It's good. They definitely need it.
Männer, ihr seid Helden.
Er machte die Tür zu und rief mich an das Maul.
Yeah, it looks like they haven't been getting food rations for a while. It doesn't look great, but when you're hungry, you're hungry.
Schmeckt's auch?
Ja.
From the look of it, Cat's a good guy, man. He's a good guy so far. It looks like he's taking them on his arm and he's trying to make sure that they're okay. Okay. Alright, he's combing his hair, so women. But I mean, you are in French territory, so this seems all kind of risky, like they're gonna go over there and it's gonna be like an ambush or something.
Nimm mich mit. Komm. Wo will denn er jetzt hin? Rand!
Is he deserting? Alright, so he's joining the war so he can get a higher ranking afterwards for a better life. I'm sure many of them thought the same thing. Okay, meal. Alright, so a bit of downtime here, getting meal from their family and so on. But Paul's family didn't even know he was coming here. He snuck out. Oh, I guess Cat can't read. So he has to read his mail for him.
Dickerchen. Du fragtest nach einem Paket mit Versagen.
Why is his family sending food? Why isn't the government sending, you know, their country sending them food and resources? You're sending us to war, but we also need to feed ourselves on the front lines. It's ridiculous. Grave.
Am Sonntag gehe ich zum Grab von unserem Kleinen.
Oh, okay. Wait, the cat had a son that I'm guessing passed away.
Zusammen seinen 10. Wenn es weiter nichts zu schreiben, sei geküsst von deiner Frau. Wiedersehen.
Maybe that's why he has such a soft spot for Paul.
Alles werden. Wieder zurück müssen ins Leben.
Du soll eh nur wissen wollen, ob wir auf Nahkampf fahren.
Yeah, as if it's some great achievement, you know. What did you do while you were there? This is a great scene moment.
Franz.
Oh, Franz came back. Huh. I thought he just up and deserted.
Ein paar Kinder suchen. Hätten heute ankommen sollen.
But you know, it kind of underscores something, because I'm guessing those girls must have been French, right? And these men are German. But even, you know, without the idea that, okay, we're at war, they got along quite fine without someone telling them that they must hate each other and they must kill each other. I'm assuming Franz just, you know, went to help them and then he just came back like a normal person. You know, so without people telling them to hate and to go to war, then people typically just get along.
Brust. Hey, ich will auch mal.
I hope he didn't steal that. Isn't this handkerchief from the girl or something? And coffin makers made a lot of money back then. And the score again, we're building up to something. It's funny how desensitized Paul has become, you know. He's not even bothered by dead body hanging from a tree anymore. But, so I'm guessing they were supposed to send in reinforcements, new recruits. Those are some huge shells. Are these the recruits?
Cut.
Are they all dying the same?
Cut.
Hmm.
Cut!
Verdammte Kinder.
Und die Masken zu früh abbrechen.
Oh, wow, 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 wow.
Bald ist Deutschland leer.
They got killed by the gas. They all took their mask off at the same time. No one was like, okay, someone's dying. Yeah. I guess if the order was given, take your mask off, then everyone just does it. Where is he headed? Is that him? Okay. I guess they went in different directions. They were traveling together initially.
Gerade.
This guy has a face I don't think I would like.
Aufklärer haben
Seems so unconcerned with everything, all the horrors around him.
Eine Panzerflotte hängt angeblich noch bei Fernam Kurfürst wieder. Wir müssen mit einem Angriff rechnen.
Ah,
Die Sozialdemokratie ist das Ende der Menschheit.
from Dark. What's his name?
Diese Menschen, Brixdorf, verkaufen unser Vaterland. Mein Befehl lautet Krieg. Und solange sich das nicht ändert, kämpfe ich hier um jeden
Okay.
Meter.
This was a real person, right? I remember. Yes, I remember reading about this guy. This was the ego on the German side, who just wanted war at all costs. Doesn't it suck when that happens?
Soldaten, packen Sie Ihre Tornister, rollen Sie Ihre Decken zusammen, waschen Ihr Geschirr. Das ganze Regiment rückt in die erste Feuerstellung vor.
Yeah, we're back at it, boys. No, lights out. We're nearing enemy. It's almost as if they were enjoying, even though they were still in enemy territory before. At least they were amongst friends and weren't thinking about dying, and now they're heading back to it. Like a complete change in their expression and tone and everything. We're going back to the goddamn trenches. Isn't it lovely? He's here enjoying his nice tea and butter and bread and all those eggs and nice things he has there, while the soldiers on the battlefield are starving. I'd throw up too. Gotta hang on to something. I'm not insane. You're insane.
Stehe vor Ihnen, in der Hoffnung, dass Sie unsere Anwesenheit zum Anlass nehmen, alle Feindseligkeiten auszusetzen.
Okay, so they're meeting the French to try to propose a ceasefire. It's kind of tough.
Que veulent ces messieurs?
Because it's like you started a war and now you want to end it when you're losing. I mean, it should accept any and all means to end the war, but it's kind of ironic.
Dites à ces messieurs que je n'ai pas de proposition à leur faire.
Ich habe Ihnen keine Vorschläge zu machen.
Vous demandez l'armistice, alors dites-le.
Will, dass Sie ihn förmlich darum bitten.
I get that. Don't come in and pretend as though this was something that we both started and we need to come to the table. You screwed up. So formally ask for it.
Vous avez 72 heures pour accepter nos conditions.
Ihnen 72 Stunden.
In Gottes Namen lassen Sie nicht 72 Stunden vergehen. Da draußen sterben Menschen.
Alors signez.
Straight to the point. You want any more people to die? Then sign. I understand the French not being so open at this point. It's like I'm certain that they've tried to end this war several times before getting to the third year, maybe even the fourth year now we're in, since this is 18 months after we started. So this is almost at the 5-year mark, So if you're coming in now, then you have to be realistic about what you can expect. They have terms. You have to try to meet them. March to your death, soldiers. You're just telling him go, go, go. There's no strategy to any of this. It's just keep going until at least maybe one or two of you makes it far enough to kill someone. And this is while negotiations are going on, is it? I don't know if maybe they're, because of the editing for the film, maybe it didn't happen simultaneously. But, I mean, if you're going to negotiate, at least tell them to hold off. Red mist. It's just blood. Man. Made it pretty far. Alright. Paul's getting into it now. Before he was very hesitant, you know, but it's been 18 months. Just a kid, same as you. Like, look at all this food. At least this side is actually feeding their soldiers. It's just ridiculous that so many of their soldiers died from starvation. I love that this... Oh, what's that? Alright, it's not airstrikes, so it's gotta be a tank, right? I know historically, I think this is the first war in which tanks were actually used. Yes, tanks. Huh. And this would be the first time many of them have even seen something like that. It really is a horror film. I don't think that's doing anything. Uh-oh. It stopped. Now would be a good time to run. Because you're about to fire. God, this guy. Just sitting in his ivory tower over there, just listening to all the screams. It's horrible. Seeing that for the first time. Just imagine. Okay, well, they're alive. Definitely can't stay here. They have to retreat. So it was just a constant back and forth in this small area. They took it for a few seconds and they have to retreat. You know, they got separated. You don't have time. You gotta go. Go. It might be the last time they see each other. It sucks. Only way this works is if they get it. Okay, yeah, that can work. They get it between the tracks. Or inside, at least. Reinforcements. Flamethrowers. Yeah. I mean, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, historically, I believe the Germans were the first to use flamethrowers. But again, this is the 5th year into the war, so maybe a case where everyone's just, yeah, let's just screw it. Bring everything out. Yeah. That's an amazing shot. Terrifying, but amazing shot. Ah. You're right, Paul. Paul is so lucky that should have killed him. Just pretend to be dead, Paul. Alright, all his limbs are still intact. Why isn't he retreating? Okay. Oh god, they caught him. Ah! Just shoot him! Wow. Is that Cat? Yeah, he's done. That just leaves Franz, assuming Franz is still alive. That's not what he wants to hear right now. Have we come to an agreement? General seems to be interested in only one thing, and that's war.
Das Lothringen, Besetzung des Rheins, Kanonen, Lokomotiven, Waggons.
Yeah, this is the result of your actions. What do you expect? Yeah, reinforcements are coming in.
Wir werden nun die Suppe auslöffeln, die Sie und Ihre Feldherren uns eingebrockt haben.
It's either surrender now and keep what you have, or lose everything. And the men that are dying. While you pontificate here in your luxurious train.
Wir hier mit Reden vergeuden, stirbt ein weiterer Soldat. Erlangen wir Gnade, wo wir können, aber
Yeah,
Gottes Willen
he's right.
Schließen wir Frieden.
Save some lives at least. Oh. Just what they needed. Is that Paul? Yeah. Dude, just played dead at this point. They've already caught up to you. If you make one step out of there, you're dead. Uh-oh. Someone saw him? Lucky. Trying to prevent him from giving away their location, or is it just that the idea of him killing someone? So it's a lot different shooting someone from a long distance, but you know, he had to do that by hand. Yeah, you're not getting out of there. It's easier when you see the other person as some sort of monster, but once the veil lifts and you realize that, okay, this is just a person and you have their blood on your hands. The acting in this has been amazing so far, especially by Paul. He's doing a fantastic job. I think it's a bit too late for that, Paul. Yeah, you stabbed him several times. He's not making it. It's an act of kindness in his final moments counts for something. Oh, he's gonna have a picture of his family. Or letters or something. Yeah. You're all experiencing the same thing, just on the other side of the, well, at least they were well fed, but they all come from similar backgrounds. Typographer. He was just pulled into the war. It's not even his profession. He's got to wait until nightfall and then, saw it easier for him to sneak back. Then he's got to stay there with that body until then. I'm glad they're highlighting the significance of the social divide at the time. During the height of industrialization, at that point, the rich got even wealthier, the poor got poorer, and the poor were the ones they sent to war.
Mein Vater war schon Offizier in diesem
This guy speaks about his
hat in den 3 Kriegen unter Bismarck
responsibility after the war and taking over the family business, He has something to look forward to, and in contrast, we see the soldiers who don't know what they'll be waiting for them at home when they get back.
Ein halbes Jahrhundert ohne Krieg.
So you wanted to be born into war?
Standen Sie Ihrem Vater nah?
Als Kind vielleicht.
Throwing meat to his dog while his men starve on the battlefield.
Und stirbt alleine.
Damn it, what's his name? Tiedemann from Dark. What was his first name? I forget his first name. But Claudia's father. Love to see some familiar faces. Alright. Except we still have an hour to go in this movie. So something is obviously not going to go according to plan. But for the moment, peace. Is that Franz? Oh no, it's Chadden. Yeah, they're gonna have to remove that leg. Yeah, they're gonna have to remove that. Yeah, as an amputee, probably not. What's that? Oh, it's the thing Franz had, right? Does that mean Franz is dead?
Is it? Du lebst. Dafür musst du dankbar sein.
He's got a right to mourn his friends. Where's Kat though? I don't think they would have just killed him off screen like that. There he is. Might as well feed them. Hopefully this peace lasts. I don't know, is he dead?
John.
I don't know if he's gonna make it. He's not looking great.
That's just me.
He's not eating. He might need some help. What are you looking at? Ah, no, 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 John. Would it really have been that worse to go back home? No one here cares. I think that guy just stole your soup. Yeah. Come on. Made it all the way here. To the end. This guy just take my soup while my friend was dying? And then there were two. And they're still firing flares, so it's not a given just yet. I don't think they've signed an agreement yet. It's just been a verbal thing so far.
Meine Mutter wollte, dass ich Französisch lerne.
But not read? That's some solace. I mean, you do have to move on, find a way.
Die anderen haben sich gewollt, trotzdem sind wir dabei, trotzdem.
That's right.
Die will uns abschlagen.
That's all they see as just a pair of boots with a rifle. The pox. At least he didn't die in this war. I don't know. I think this would be worse. That's your concern? How fresh the pastries are.
Monsieur le Maréchal.
It's like, that's not our problem.
Maréchal, ich bitte Sie. Seien Sie gerecht zu Ihrem Gegner, sonst wird diesen Frieden hassen.
Juste. Vous parlez d'être juste.
Yeah, I'm considering how this started, you can't speak of fairness here. But, I mean, if they're willing to agree to the terms, then be a bit lenient. If only to end the war. All right, let's progress.
Der Waffenstillstand tritt in 6 Stunden in Kraft.
6 hours.
In der 11. Stunde am 11. Tag des 11. Monats.
Très bien. La guerre est finie.
In 6 hours. He doesn't look too pleased.
Was sehen Sie hier, Brixdorf?
Die Ebenen von Latier, Herr General. Egisac.
Die sehe ich auch. Und deutsche Soldaten, die weglaufen wie die Hasen. Ziehen Sie die Rekruten ab aus allen Stellungen.
So far
Lassen Sie im
removed
Hof
from
antreten.
any of this.
Wir ziehen den
It's
Kahn jetzt aus der
ridiculous.
Scheiße.
There's still 6 hours for him to do something stupid.
Wie spät ist es?
The bombings have stopped. No gunfire.
Haben unterschrieben, Paul. Krieg ist vorbei.
We made it. Although I still feel that General is gonna do something not great. But if I were them, I would not follow any orders.
Rotkohl, Kartoffeln, dann zünde ich alle Kerzen an und dann küsse ich.
No, doesn't Paul have a family? I know he has a mother and a father from their conversation at the beginning. Yeah, true. Do something with your future.
Dann machen wir was Großes.
Willst du mich beleidigen? Ich kann mal einen Brief lesen von meiner Frau.
Yeah.
Du gehst studieren, Paul. Das erschießt dich gleich hier.
Cat is great. Still worried that they're wandering off like this. I just feel like something horrible is gonna happen. Oh, they're back at the farm. I wouldn't go to the same place twice. Why? This is not going to go great. I want to say maybe Paul will be okay since he's the protagonist. He's safe, but I don't think anyone is safe at this point. We've lost too many people. But this was reckless, though. You're almost at the finish line. Oh, it's the kid. Locked him in. Oh, not good. Don't play that music. It usually means something not good is going to happen. Someone's gonna get shot. You're focusing a lot on this kid. You didn't get a goose. Oh, okay. You managed to get some eggs.
Die können wir braten. Quatsch mit Soße, das essen wir gleich jetzt. Oh, geht aus.
Raw eggs. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Gleich wieder.
I would still keep going. This is you're still close to the farmer's place. I don't like the sound of this. Was maybe one of them hit and they just haven't realized it? Silence is it's concerning. The silence is concerning. Yeah, the farmer, or maybe even the kid, just gave him a look. Yeah. So close. So close. Why did they do this? The war was over.
Was passiert? Das Leben. Wer hat geschossen? Kleine Scheiße vom Hof.
Okay. Got away? Or not. Why would you come here just to get shot stealing some eggs?
Geh mal lieber in die Zigarette. Das ist ein Sanitäter, Mann.
Yeah, I guess if they get back quickly enough, they can make it. Or he can make it. But last time they came here, it was a truck that drove them, and they've been walking for a while this time around. It's not close. Come on, don't tell me. Please stop. Please stop. They don't care. They're just celebrating we get to go home. Alright, they made it back. But I think he's dead. That can't have been an easy trip.
Das hätte sie sparen können. Er ist doch tot.
Yeah, I figured.
Scheiße, ich hab gerade noch mit ihm gesprochen. Tu mich. Der ist hungrig.
Sorry, Paul. Everyone he knows is now gone. Did he have a picture of his wife, maybe, or? Oh, this is the beetle.
Soldat,
What are his orders exactly?
in einer Welt von Feinden und müssen zusehen, wie deutsche Sozialdemokraten unser geliebtes Volk.
What reward?
Aber, Kameraden, wollt ihr als Soldaten und Helden empfangen werden? Oder als
Launching one
Feiglinge,
final attack
die ins
before
Schwanz
the hour.
einzogen, als es wirklich drauf an-
I'm not doing that. There are more of us than there are of you. I'm not doing it. Yeah, they're rounding up the ones who don't want to go. If everyone said no, then and this is the problem, man. I hate to see this because it's like you're more trusting of someone who has never lived a day in your shoe than you are your brother next to you. Because what should happen here is everyone should be like, we experienced all this shit together. You're talking nonsense. And if you need to kill everyone else who's trying to force us to go to this, to go against the treaty that goes into effect at 11, then we'll turn on all of you. But of course not. And we see it happen a lot today even, you know. And this is just, even though there's a creeping up on them, this is still going to be a slaughter essentially. They're tired, hungry, not motivated. It's pointless. I would be going so slow. I'd be walking, or just lay there and pretend to be injured until this is over. 15 minutes? I'm not risking my life for that. I think at this point, especially for Paul, I'm sure for many of the others as well, they're desperate for it all to mean something. You know, all the people that they've lost up to this point, it's like, okay, this has to mean something. I have to ensure that this means something, that their lives meant something. So I have to push on. But it just isn't. It's not worth it. Oh, the kid that just arrived. Oh, this one's a fighter. No longer confident that Paul is going to make it out of this. Come on. It's just what, maybe 5 minutes left? Let's just stand here until time's up. Wow. A few seconds before 11? Oh man. Oh my god. Almost made it, Paul. It's funny, everyone just stopped fighting. Just walk. They're now just walking past each other. So this was just because of the ego of one man. The order is given to stop. Okay, we're not enemies anymore. That's it. If I were these soldiers, I would just don't fight. Both of us, just wait this out. This pompous bastard sitting in his ivory tower here, trying to prove something at the expense of other people's lives is not worth it.
Ja.
Na dann. Einsammeln bitte.
Still another kid. I'm guessing he's going to be the one to find Paul. Yeah, there he is. You saved him. You did save him. That thing's been on quite a trip. All right, there we have it, all quiet on the Western Front. And this is one of the reasons why I don't do a lot of war movies, because you know it's a heavy subject. It's a heavy subject matter and a complicated one. You know, I think it's important to remember that there are no winners when it comes to war. Only survivors. You know, that's it. That's essentially it. And this was no different. I'm not even sure what there is to add after this. You know, the story speaks for itself, and it's fascinating. Just watching just a bit of information that they added at the end there. You know, that trench that we kept revisiting. You know, they just fought for a few meters of land for the duration of the war, and it cost upwards of 3 million people just for that. And overall, I believe it said it was around 17 million people that died in the First World War, not just in that location. So the casualty, there's a massive casualty on both sides. And yeah, I mean, as I said, it comes down to ego and greed. And even though we kind of painted that general there as the villain of the story, so to speak, but it was a combination of several things, a combination of several different things. And I believe at the time Germany was colonizing a lot of different areas around Europe, and of course that was a bit of concern for other world powers there, namely England and France and Russia, of course. So the combination of things, and as I mentioned, this was the height of the Industrial Revolution, so it's like, okay, there was a huge wealth gap, and you could see it. I'm glad that they addressed it in this film. We saw that generals and the guy he was talking to, the conversation between the two were really fascinating. The general was speaking about his legacy and his father before him, who fought in several wars and won, meaning that he wanted a war to add to his list to say that he won this war, and that was what was motivating him. You see him feeding his dog, while his men are starving not far from him. And the other soldier he spoke to at the other end of the table, he told us about what he was going to do after the war, and he had his family owned a factory that he'd be expected to run after he left. So he was well off, and he would be fine after the war. But then you listen to the other soldiers in the on the ground, and they have nothing to return to. Kat says to Paul that he's a shoemaker. That's it. The guy that Paul killed, I think he was a writer or something to that effect. Yeah, it's these were just regular people that just got pulled into this gigantic mess. While those bureaucrats, those politicians spinning that wheel, claiming that they're doing this for the benefit of the people, when in truth these men were quite well off themselves and were looking just to amass more wealth. And that's usually what war comes down to. I mean, as I've said, there are going to be occasions where, war is necessary. There are going to be occasions where war is necessary, fighting is necessary. As someone who's a person of color, I wouldn't be enjoying the freedom that I have today if it wasn't for people who decided to fight for that. A lot of, I guess, depending on where you're from, slaves were freed at different points in history. But a lot of that came as a result of the cost that was associated with maintaining the current status quo, because there were still, revolts and so on that were happening that proved to be costly, especially in the colonies. So there are going to be instances where fighting is necessary, things like human rights and so on, where yes, it is necessary to fight for those things. This, on the other hand, was not for anything noble. It wasn't, This was just claim for essentially territory and that's just it. Territory and resources. That's pretty much what it boils down to. Again, I'm sure as far as Austria and Serbia are concerned, their relationship, I'm sure there are complexities there as well. And for the most part, I think some have said, some of the between Russia and Germany sort of played up on the conflict between those two territories to kind of get something out of it. But again, that's just all speculation at this point. I think several factors led to this. No one person really holds responsibility for it, but I think it's safe to say that everyone could have done something to prevent it. If I remember correctly, England remained neutral for a long time, whereas it can be argued that if they stepped in initially and made a firm stance, then this could have been avoided. But again, that's not on them. They didn't start the conflict, so there are various factors that played into it, and I think at the end of the day, everyone holds some responsibility. All the parties involved held some responsibility. But yeah, war is should never be the immediate response or the immediate answer without weighing the consequences of the cost of said war. Overall, the movie was really good. It's a really good movie. It was well acted. The set design, the costumes, and so on, really well done. The score, I absolutely love the score. I haven't seen, and I'm hoping that in the film festival circuit, I don't see Netflix pushing this a lot for awards, but I think this should, it's something that they should push to the forefront. For the next Oscar award season, that would be great. It's not often that foreign films win these. I think we did have one. Bong Joon-ho, I'm butchering his name, I'm sorry. Did win. What was it? Parasite. Recently, so it is possible to not just win in the foreign film category, but overall Best Picture. So I'm hoping that Netflix does promote this. They've not done a great job in promoting their stuff, and I really hope they don't push something like Blonde that no one is really talking about. It was okay, but it wasn't great. It wasn't great. And something like this, on the other hand, I can see having being well received, despite being a foreign film, because I know Americans can be averse to foreign films, especially when the Oscar body is still made up of relatively old people. But this was overall a fantastic film. I don't know the actor that played Paul, but he did a fantastic job. Hopefully I'll be seeing him in more things. And I think everyone did an all-around fantastic job with this. Thoroughly enjoyed it. As I said, I'm not a huge war movie person, but from time to time, when there are those that will, from what I read and hear, that would stand out to me and that would pique my interest, and I'll definitely check it out. So if you have any suggestions, and it doesn't have to just be a war movie, but anything that is a bit more obscure, or especially foreign films that you think would be good for me to check out on this channel, post down below in the comments and let me know. Alright, that is it for All Quiet on the Western Front. Be sure to post down below in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on this film. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one.